We really need to uncover those roots. We need to open those boxes. We need to allow ourselves to invite in all of those pieces that make us who we are. Create awareness through a lens of curiosity so that as we're going through this process, we're also repatterning and reconceptualizing, and then identifying what those action steps are going to look like.
Get your daily dose of motivation on the Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast. In Motivation with Michelle podcast, you'll get encouraging, uplifting, and life-changing wisdom that will transform your world at your fingertips, 24 hours a day. Get a fuller, deeper revelation of the tools you can implement to see incredible transformation in your life from Michelle Neustadter's powerful teachings. Tune in whenever you need to be edified, uplifted, or a dose of motivation, no matter where you are. Subscribe to Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast with Michelle Neustadter today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud.
In the self-help field, I would say probably over the past, decade or so, one of the probably foremost pieces that has gained a ton of momentum has been the idea of positive psychology. Now, please don't get me wrong. I think that positive psychology absolutely has its place. It, helps us to focus on good things, to find personal strengths, to, seek out positive features of human nature and values, virtues, happiness. Helps us create resilience, helps us to move through challenges and trials and, difficulties by creating a different lens and a different way of approaching those pieces that we have to walk through in our world. Research has even been done, and it's been, backed by scientific study. Now, I say self-help because it does show up there a lot. This whole idea of, accentuate the positive, using positive self-statements, affirmations, which are great to do for ourselves. However, it does not necessarily honor the process of being human and going through life. When we want to really, truly start to manage our mind, our emotions, our thoughts, our behaviors, our choices better, if you're experiencing anxiety, depression, trauma, simply creating a, competing correct thought for the negative thought that's showing up in our life, that, if you potentially think it often enough, it will take precedence over all those toxic thoughts, just doesn't quite cut it. I often hear the idea of fake it till you make it. Just tell yourself that affirmation until you believe it. And honestly, I've always preferred the act as if. But that comes in the active space of our sort of reprogramming the cycle. There's a process that we have to go through where we incorporate these, warning signals such as anxiety and depression, where we incorporate things like our traumas and our challenges into our story, not ignoring them, not trying to push them away or suppressing them, not putting them in a box up on a shelf somewhere in our mind mess, but really honoring it. Even allowing ourselves to acknowledge the growth that it's brought into our lives. But I really want to emphasize, those toxic thoughts, the challenging feelings, the traumas that we have to walk through. Those are not our identity. Pain is a part of life, and it is also part of the process of healing. And when I say process, I mean there is this processing piece we have to do that requires a deep reflection. It requires us to look at things like the who, what, where, when, why, and how. It requires us to dig deep and sometimes feel things that we don't necessarily want to feel. If we can't uncover the root, some of those, positive psychology tools aren't going to serve us a lot of purpose because we're still going to wind up right back where we started. We're still going to experience those emotions. we're still going to feel that trauma and that pain because we haven't really uncovered the root, healed from it, and let it go. But awareness without action also leaves us kind of still in that traumatized place. It can do more harm than good. For this reason, when we do want to repattern something, we have to ask ourselves, okay, if not this, then what? We need a willingness first to incorporate all of those pieces, all of those experiences, all of those traits and whatnot into who we are, while also asking ourselves who I want to be. And so therefore, just because this is a part of me does not mean that I can't work with it and I can't use it as a benefit. I can find other ways to start to navigate that emotional place or shift how I react or what I choose within that space. And all of those pieces go into those action steps. Simply trying to incorporate a purely positive stance on life has its limits. It may be a significant part of those action steps we take going forward. But as I said, we really need to uncover those roots. We need to open those boxes. We need to allow ourselves to invite in all of those pieces that make us who we are. Create awareness through a lens of curiosity so that as we're going through this process, we're also repatterning and reconceptualizing. And then identifying what those action steps are going to look like. Remember too, though, that awareness is important, but awareness by itself is problematic. We have to incorporate a process of evaluating and of reconceptualizing and bringing all of those pieces into our story and then creating those action steps. Creating awareness allows us to change things. Reflection on it gives us our root causes. Curiosity adds clarity. And creating that action step gives us change. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that this has added value to you. If you would like more information, please don't hesitate to comment or connect with me.